Welcome back to Horse Racing. Today, I'm Rich Perloff in Los Angeles. As promised, time to talk a little Texas racing here on a Friday. We're joined by Jim Byers, the voice of racing at Lone Star Park, who checks in every Friday here at TVG2. And we talk about a couple of races of interest over the weekend. Jim, good Friday to you.
Good to be back. There is beautiful weather here this weekend. We're looking at very nice weather, 2:35 Central Time. The post times on Saturday and Sunday. And we had to dodge a little bit of weather last weekend, but not this weekend. It's looking really nice.
So, Jim, I'm looking at a couple of entry-level allowance races, and the thing that jumps off the page at me is the field sizes here. These are both enormous fields and just a lot of different ways to look at these races for our handicappers and Lone Star players.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the Saturday race we're going to look at, I think, is one of those that's legitimately wide open, and it's a race where if you're playing a multi-race wager, you might want to spread. The other one that we're going to look at for Sunday is viewed more as a two-filly race, but there's some potential long shot chances there. So we got one that's kind of your typical wide open race, the other that's a little more narrowed down. But you know, big fields have really helped us get off to a good start so far, and I'm looking forward to these two allowance races. One of the reasons we wanted to talk about it here is this first race we're going to take a look at. There's just an abundance of speed in this one. So it's going to be interesting to see if somebody can maybe sit just a little bit off the pace here on the main track and pick up the pieces.
Well, just to emphasize, we're looking at the field now for this the Saturday race, race number 7, first level allowance horses, 3- and 4-year-olds going 3/4 of a mile. Just to emphasize how wide open and how tricky this race is, the 9-2 third choice in the wagering here, Dorfman, is first off the claim for Karl Broberg, and Broberg needs no introduction with his first off the claim stats. But this horse is stepping up after beating conditioned $5,000 claimers. That's a pretty steep move up the class ladder.
Yeah, and he was claimed the time before that, also at the fairgrounds for even a slightly lower price. So he's been moving up the ladder. I'm kind of interested to see if Dorfman can take what appears to be a move upward here. He's certainly in very good form. He's won 2 races in a row. He threw a really nice Beyer 76 last time out on March 22nd. And as you mentioned, Broberg is very good off the claim. He has a really high pace figure, and he hasn't always done his work on the front end, but it seems like he might definitely like the front end. Still in all, he could be one of those speedsters in here, and I'm kind of looking at the 12, Tis All Up to Me Now. And you know when a horse is 7-2 on the morning line, especially with Rick Lee's morning line here, where he's unafraid to put horses at legitimately shorter prices on the line, you know it's a wide open race when your morning line favorite 7-2. And Tis All Up to Me Now from the Steve Asmussen stable. And this horse doesn't have the greatest buyers in the field maybe, but I do think he has the running style that might benefit from a race where it looks like there's an awful lot of early speed in this one.
Not a surprise to see Asmussen and Broberg represented, and their horses will break from adjacent stalls there. Tis All Up to Me Now. The question mark for me, Jim, would be the fact that he is taking on older horses for the first time, but it's a curious race condition. It's only 3- and 4-year-olds. It's not like a 3 and up race where you'd have a whole bunch of hard-knocking 5- and 6-year-old geldings running around.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think some of the other contenders in here, even if you reach a little bit, are 3-year-olds. So, you know, Dorfman's a 4-year-old. I think he's a legitimate contender. I also think as a long shot, I'm going to use as a 4th pick the 4 Burton Joe, who comes in from Oaklawn Park. And you always have to respect horses that fared at all decently in Hot Springs. And that horse is a 4-year-old as well. So a lot of the contenders are 3-year-olds. And I've picked a couple of 3-year-olds early on in the meet. One definitely without success. I think the other one possibly with success. So we'll see how this Tis All Up to Me Now fares in this race. Another one that I think might be interesting in there is Fear the Zodiac, the 2. This horse put up a 72 Beyer at Delta Downs last time, so we'll see how he takes the conversion over here to Lone Star Park.
And you know what else? I'm just looking at him now. The only bad race that he's run is when they sent him around 2 turns at Delta. He's undefeated around 1 corner, and both by open lengths, and he's going to get a 1-turn race there at Lone Star on Saturday.
Yeah, 6 furlongs, and he certainly did not like that 7-furlong 2-turn race at Delta. He finished 57.5 lengths back, which means he was basically walking in. But, yeah, I mean, if he runs back to those 2 5/8 sprints, he could be a little bit of a contender there as well. That should be an interesting race. A lot of good trip handicapping factors to look at there.
All right, that's Saturday. On Sunday, the first level allowance horses in race number 4 are going to go a mile on turf. It's a field of 9 here. Mary Blue Eyes, 7-5 on the morning line. Well, here's a surprise. First off the claim for Karl Broberg, but he claims a 5-year-old mare who's in pretty good current form.
Yeah, and like that other horse we were talking about, Dorfman, a claim from the Joe Sharp stable, I do believe. I like Mary Blue Eyes in here. I mean, she's not necessarily the biggest on winning, 3 for 30 lifetime, but likes to get into the exacta and the trifecta and usually gives a good account of herself. And it helps to lay close to the pace on this turf course, and she can do that. She doesn't absolutely have to have the lead, but unlike the other race, I don't think there's nearly as much speed in this one, and I think she can be forwardly placed. And this one kind of looks like a showdown, certainly on the line between Mary Blue Eyes and number 5, Behold the Queen. Behold the Queen just ran her eyeballs out last time out, earned an 85 buyer at the fairgrounds, won by 10.5 lengths. Not really sure where that effort came from or if she can replicate it, but a couple of long shots that are interesting in this one. The 2 Out of My Way girls. Yep. Mindy Willis and Lindy Wade are a good jockey-trainer tandem when they team up, especially on the turf course, and they combine there. And I think if you look at her 2 turf races, she might merit an outside look. And then a horse that is no secret on the morning line, Val's Lemon Drop from the Steve Asmussen stable, is another one that has run some nice races since they put her on the turf. So some contention in this one as well, but it's kind of looking like a 2 filly showdown from the early morning line on this one.
Steve Asmussen, Karl Broberg, well represented. No surprise in both of the first level allowance races we've just been discussing. That's Jim Byers from Lone Star Park. Jim, thanks as always. Have a great weekend, and we'll speak to you next time.